A very good morning and welcome to yet another edition of the YES101's Visual Radio this morning. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jadabdin. We start off with a look at your headlines.
Newsfirst headline.
In headlines, President holds talks with the IMF high-level team. US discusses possible Israeli strikes on Iran oil sites as Israel presses Lebanon campaign. And in sports, Ten Hag calls for patience after hairy draw at Porto. In your top story this morning, President Anurukumar Dissanayake met with a senior delegation from the International Monetary Fund yesterday, including Krishna Srinivasan, Director of the IMF's Asia Pacific Department, and Dr. Peter Brewer, the senior mission head at the Presidential Secretariat. During the meeting, both sides reviewed the progress of the ongoing program between the IMF and Sri Lanka, reaffirmed the government's broad agreement in principle with the goals of the program, while emphasizing the need to pursue alternative approaches that would reduce the burden on the people. The President also highlighted the government's plans to provide relief to those affected by the high VAT and income taxes. The IMF representatives appreciated the Sri Lankan administration's commitment to achieving the program's goals and agreed to consider the alternative approaches they proposed. They also discussed the upcoming third review of the program, and President Dissanayake assured the IMF that despite potential delays due to the upcoming general election, the work will continue without interruption. In more local news, the International Monetary Fund says that sustaining reform momentum is critical for Sri Lanka. Julie Kozak, the director of the IMF Communications Department, responding to a question at a press conference in Washington, D.C., said that Sri Lanka's program performance is strong and reform efforts are bearing fruit. Now we cross over to an excerpt of what the director of the IMF Communications Department, Julie Kozak, had to comment on the matter.
Good morning, Julie. As well, Pakistan from Sri Lanka. I've got two questions regarding Sri Lanka. That is, number one is Sri Lanka recently elected its new president, and now the president has also declared the 14th of November as the parliamentary elections. Now, Sri Lanka is facing a kind of an impasse where you have one faction saying that they will go ahead with the IMF program, while another faction contesting the upcoming polls wants to change the IMF program. Given this situation, is there any possibility of sticking with the program, or is the review going to change, or is the program review going to be pushed back?
So first, just stepping back to remind, on June 12th, 2024, the IMF Executive Board completed the 2024 Article 4 consultation and the second review under the EFF program with Sri Lanka, providing the country with immediate access to about $336 million to support its economic policies and reforms. Program performance is strong, and reform efforts are bearing fruit in terms of reviving economic growth, lowering inflation, boosting reserves, and improving revenue mobilization. However, as we have said before, important vulnerabilities and uncertainties do remain, and this means that sustaining reform momentum is critical. Right now, a high-level team led by our director of the Asia Pacific Department, Krishna Srinivasan, is currently visiting Colombo to meet with President Dissanayake and his new economic team. The delegation is discussing with the authorities the latest economic developments and their economic reform objective. Dates for the third review under the EFF will be announced in due course, and this delegation will communicate when their visit concludes, and we'll have more information for you at that time. On the question on the bondholders, what I can say is that on September 18th, Sri Lanka and the international bondholder representatives reached an agreement in principle subject to confirmation of comparability of treatment by Sri Lanka's official creditor committee. And this does represent a significant, some significant progress in Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process.
International news. Sports news.